Have you ever felt that your image no longer reflects who you truly are? Maybe, without realizing it, you are making mistakes that don't represent you, and that can make you look like a cheap woman. And no, it has nothing to do with money. Today, I'm going to show you how to avoid them. And when we get to number 1, you'll understand it all. It's the most common, the most impactful, and almost no one dares to tell you. Stay with me, Queen. Because what you're about to discover can change not only how you look, but also how others see you. Mistake number 5, overly marked tattooed eyebrows. Dear Queen, let's start with something that seems small, but says so much about you: eyebrows. Surely in recent years you've seen many women of all ages opting to tattoo their eyebrows. Some do it for convenience, others because they've lost density over time, and some because they like how it looks. And that's okay. But the problem isn't tattooing your eyebrows. The problem is how those eyebrows look. Eyebrows frame your gaze, and at 60 or older, when our features soften, what we carry on our face has an even greater impact. Many women opt to tattoo their eyebrows to regain the expression that has been lost over the years. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with seeking practical solutions, especially if they make us feel more comfortable or confident. The problem begins when that tattoo is done without moderation or taste, and it tends to work against your face. Another issue is that when your natural eyebrows begin to grow, they will never grow on the tattooed area. They will grow in their natural form. And over time, the pigment will turn greenish, and you'll need to touch it up. Some eyebrows, instead of highlighting your natural beauty, end up overshadowing it. Eyebrows that are too dark, thick like a marker line with square shapes that don't fit your face, or that don't follow the natural line of your bone structure. And there, dear Queen, we're no longer talking about enhancing your beauty, but about hiding it. Because those eyebrows don't make you look younger. They make you look harder, more severe, and they might even project a false or exaggerated image as if you were wearing a mask. It's not necessary. You don't need to hide anything. When an older woman wears extremely marked eyebrows, especially if they are black or heavily pigmented, her face loses harmony. The expression becomes rigid, tense. And even if you're wearing a beautiful dress, a delicate perfume, or a kind smile, the first thing that stands out is that dark stain over your eyes, and that, instead of adding, subtracts. The ideal is always to seek balance. If you decide to get micropigmentation or eyebrow tattoos, choose a professional who understands mature faces. Choose soft brown tones with a powder finish that mimics the natural shade of the hair. Don't be swayed by the trend of thick eyebrows worn by young 20-year-olds. They're in a different stage. You, on the other hand, are in one where elegance lies in subtlety. It's not about getting back the eyebrows of your 30s, but adapting them gracefully to who you are today. A confident woman with style, who knows who she is. It's better to always go for a subtle eyebrow makeup using a pencil or pomade where you can erase and remove. With beautiful eyebrows, the eyes open, the expression lightens, and your gaze becomes warm. That is true beauty. The one that respects your face, your age, and your essence. Don't let such a small detail break that harmony. Because sometimes, in our eagerness to look younger, we end up looking forced or even unauthentic. Elegance, Queen, isn't about trying to look like someone else. It's about being yourself, but in your best version. And that version of you doesn't need eyebrows drawn like stickers. What you need is softness, good taste, and respect for your own face. That, although it seems simple, is what really makes you look refined. And the next mistake is one that screams, and words aren't necessary. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe for more content that will help you elevate your elegance. Mistake number 4, criticizing other women. This is a very common mistake, and sometimes it sneaks into our conversations as if it were normal. But it's not. Criticizing other women, especially those who are in the same stage of life as you, is a silent form of self-sabotage. Because when you point at another with disdain, you're actually questioning your own worth. Phrases like, "That dress looks horrible on her," "At that age, and she still paints herself like a young girl," or "Look how she behaves, what a fool," are more harmful than we realize. Not only to the woman receiving the judgment, but to you who's making it. because a woman who constantly criticizes others loses focus on her own growth. She wears herself out comparing, measuring, pointing out, instead of moving forward, inspiring, and building. Sometimes we do it without realizing. In a chat with friends, at a family lunch, in the supermarket line. But there's no more contradictory gesture than talking about self-esteem while verbally dismantling another woman. Constant criticism isn't a sign of strength, but of insecurity. And you, Queen, no longer need to compete. Your worth isn't measured in relation to others. It's measured by how you've lived your life, the battles you've overcome, and the peace you transmit. Every woman has her own story, her style, her way of aging, and all of them, absolutely all, deserve respect. If you see a woman your age with a deep neckline, don't think she's out of place. Think that maybe she's reconnecting with her femininity. If you see another with brightly dyed hair, don't say she wants attention. Maybe she's simply expressing herself finally, as she always wanted. We don't know what's behind other people's decisions. And that's why the most elegant thing is compassionate silence. When you become a woman who doesn't criticize but who understands, your aura changes. People admire you, seek you out, listen to you, because they know that with you, there's peace, not judgment. And that's one of the most beautiful ways to be a queen, to lift others, even without words. Are you enjoying these tips? Then don't miss my ebook, More Elegant Than Ever. It's a complete handbook to help you refresh your image. Link in the description. Mistake number 3, acting superior. This is a deeper issue, Queen, because it's no longer about external image, but what we project with our attitudes. And one of the attitudes that can most tarnish your elegance is that habit, which sometimes appears without us noticing, of looking down on others. Acting superior not only makes you look unempathetic, but it also distances you from true beauty, the one that comes from respect and humility. Being an older woman doesn't give you more value than a younger person or someone with fewer resources. Being a woman with experience doesn't make you better than someone who's just learning. Treating waiters, housekeepers, young people who serve you in a store, or people with less education poorly doesn't make you grand. On the contrary, it minimizes you. Because class, real class, is shown in how you treat those who can't give you anything in return. Perhaps it's happened to you that you're in a cafe and something goes wrong. They serve you cold coffee, or the waiter takes too long to bring you the bill, and instead of being understanding, being kind, your first impulse is to complain with annoyance, look at them with disdain, or even make comments like, "That's why they don't progress," or "How useless they are." Queen, that kind of phrase makes you lose your shine. It can also appear in small, everyday actions, like correcting others with irony, making others feel less because they haven't traveled as much as you, or looking down on someone whose outfit you don't like. And even if you say it with a smile, it leaves a mark. Not only on the other person, but on you. Because what you give, what you release with your language and tone, comes back to you. And when you give arrogance, what you receive is distance. A truly confident woman doesn't need to step on anyone. She stands out by her calmness, her education, her presence, not by shouting or humiliating. Being respectful to everyone, especially to those with less, is a sign of inner greatness, and that's the kind of elegance that can't be bought with money, brands, or years. It's the one that's cultivated with wisdom. Remember, everyone, absolutely everyone, is fighting a battle that others can't see. Treating others well is not just a matter of courtesy, it's a matter of humanity. And when an older woman does it, she not only looks elegant, she looks powerful. Because she shows that her strength lies not in arrogance, but in compassion. And the next mistake doesn't get heard or shouted. But the most delicate one is the one you wear. And without saying anything, it can ruin all your elegance. Mistake number 2, arguing in public. There are moments when we feel like we can't take it anymore. Words that hurt, attitudes that make us feel ignored, disrespect we've been accumulating for a long time. And then, without thinking twice, we explode. We do it in front of everyone, at a family meal, at a social gathering, or on an outing with friends. And what could have been resolved calmly turns into an uncomfortable scene that leaves everyone in silence. And us in the spotlight. Queen, arguing in public is one of the quickest ways to tarnish your image. Not because it's wrong to defend your ideas or set boundaries. That's perfectly fine, and at your age, with all your experience and wisdom, you not only have the right to speak up, but also to be heard. But the problem is how and when. Because when you raise your voice in front of others, when you expose personal conflicts at a shared table, or reprimand someone in front of more people, the message gets lost. It no longer matters if you were right. What's seen is the emotional outburst. And that image, even if you don't want it, becomes the one people remember. Maybe it was a daughter who spoke to you with disdain, a daughter-in-law who made a decision without consulting you, a grandson who responded with little patience. All those moments can be tough to handle, especially when you feel like no one values you the way they used to. But precisely because you're no longer in a place to allow disrespect, you need to find more elevated ways to set boundaries. Ways that don't take away your presence, but give it to you. Maybe you've experienced it. You're at a gathering, and another older woman starts arguing with her family. She speaks loudly, throws accusations, interrupts everyone. What do you feel when you see it? Discomfort, pity, confusion? Now imagine that happening to you. That everyone falls silent when you speak, not out of respect, but out of fear or discomfort. Is that the impression you want to leave? The problem isn't the argument itself. It's the place, the tone, the timing. There are topics that deserve to be addressed, yes. But not all need to be resolved in front of others, especially when those others have nothing to do with it. Because when you expose a family conflict in public, you not only wear yourself out, but you also damage your relationship with the other person. And sometimes, those wounds don't heal easily. The image you leave when you maintain calm is profoundly impactful. When someone tries to provoke you and you don't fall for it, but instead smile softly and say, "We'll talk about it later," you rise above the conflict. You become immune to chaos. And that, Queen, is an art that not everyone masters. You, with your experience, with all you've lived through, with everything you've seen and overcome, have the ability to teach with your attitude. Let your grandchildren see you as a serene woman. Let your daughters trust your wisdom. Let your friends admire your composure. That's not achieved by shouting. It's achieved with emotional mastery. And you already have it. You just need to remind yourself. But the next mistake is not spoken aloud. It's hinted at with what you choose to show. Mistake number 1. Pretending a fake lifestyle, Queen. There's nothing that tarnishes a woman's true elegance more than the need to pretend to have a life that isn't hers. And although this mistake may seem superficial, it actually touches a very deep part of our identity: authenticity. Let's start with the visible things, with what the eyes perceive first. Clothing with logos, fake luxury jewelry, and fake designer brands. Sometimes, in an attempt to project an image of sophistication, we fall into the trap of imitation. Large bags with exaggerated logos that try to simulate luxury brands, but with details that reveal they are fake. Those red-soled heels we bought because they try to copy expensive designs, but fail to achieve elegance or quality. And we claim they're original when asked, even though they're not. Chunky chain necklaces, rings, and bracelets that are presented as fine jewelry, but whose appearance reveals otherwise. What we might forget is that people notice. And when they notice, admiration turns into distrust. Not because of what you wear, but because of what you're trying to project. True elegance isn't about wearing a visible logo. It's about wearing quality pieces like a satin suit, a well-pressed linen shirt, a good tailored suit, or an elegant trench coat that you bought with your own effort. Pieces you've learned to combine with taste, that respect your body, that adapt to your lifestyle, and that tell your story, not someone else's. Because a simple, well-pressed blazer with a well-chosen accessory can make you look more beautiful than any expensive imitation. And then there's the other side of this mistake. What's said? What's faked with words? Talking about trips that never happened, gifts that weren't really gifts, income that's far from reality. Claiming the kids have the best when, in truth, you're juggling to make ends meet. Pretending success, abundance, or recognition when deep down, you're struggling with things no one can see. Lying, even in small details, wears you out. Not only because you have to maintain that version over and over again, but because it takes you further from what's most valuable. your truth. When you live in lies, even to protect yourself, you stop enjoying what you truly have. You lose the joy of wearing a dress you picked out yourself with love, of proudly saying that the ring you're wearing was a simple gift but filled with love. You lose the chance to be loved for who you really are. And what you are, Queen, is valuable. Not because of what you pretend, not because of what you claim to have, but because of everything you've lived through, overcome, learned, and built. The woman who doesn't pretend, who doesn't need to embellish her story, exudes such a real strength that no one can ignore it. Her confidence doesn't come from brands, labels, or external applause. It comes from her peaceful conscience and her heart at ease. So, if you ever felt like you needed to exaggerate to be liked more, or make up that you had designer clothes to fit in, today is the time to let it go. You don't need anything fake to look more beautiful. Because your real beauty, the one earned with years, shines without needing to say a word. Clothes are like your actions. Choose the right ones because sometimes less is more. If you made it this far, drop a "I'm elegance" in the comments so I know you're part of our community of women who shine from within. What you learned today is just the beginning. My ebook, More Elegant Than Ever, will show you how to dress for your body type, choose your best colors, and so much more. The link's in the description, and only the first ones to grab it will get all the exclusive content because you deserve to look like a queen.